defend her title in rhythmic gymnastics, with routines composed of music and dance and body movements. Gail Gardner.
That's a little perkier than your basic blue blazer
Thank
all
you
the
very
time.
much.
Okay. We should mention, you did briefly mention rhythmic gymnastics, and we are going to see that tonight. Rhythmic gymnastics, of course, the women are involved in that. It was an Olympic sport in 1984, and it involves various dance and body movements with the use of small hand apparatus like ribbons and ropes and clubs. We also have volleyball for you a little bit later on tonight, the men's gold medal volleyball game. That'll be starting about 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We also have the women's gold medal game for you. That was played last night, but let me tell you, this game went on long into the night. It went on long after we went off the air last night. It was just an outstanding volleyball match. So, a lot of volleyball ahead, men's all-around gymnastics, rhythmic gymnastics as well, as Jim and I return as our Olympic Sports Festival coverage continues right after this. Stay with us.
The 1987 U.S. Olympic Festival is brought to you by the Miller Brewing Company, sole sponsor of the U.S. Olympic Training Centers. GTE, communications advisor to the U.S. Olympic Festival. Honda, who invites you to experience the new Prelude SI at your local Honda dealer. Minute Maid, you can't serve your family a more nutritious orange juice. Make sure it's Minute Maid.
We build the team since then. We do have a team that has qualified for the '88 Olympics in Seoul. The women at the festival, though, are not the top.
I think it's an exciting opportunity for all of us to see who are going to be the new names of U.S. gymnastics. We don't have Tim Daggett, we don't have Scott Johnson, but we have the field of guys that are going to represent our international program in the 1988, 89, 90 years.
Now, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that one of these participants could emerge as a star of the future, perhaps as soon as '88. But we do have a wide open field because of all of those new names that we're talking about.
We really do, and I think there's probably 9 guys who could win this competition, so it's going to come down to the guy who can put it together and nail all 6 routines. I think there's 4 guys we really have to concentrate on. First of all, Neil Palmer, David St. Pierre, Robert Sudstrom, and Spider Maxwell. I think those 4 guys are our favorites because they've been doing very well in the last couple of years. But like I said, there's 5 other guys that could pull this off if they have a hot night.
Now, this is the all-around competition, so the atmosphere here will be almost like an all-event-filled track meet. And the fans, of course, will be watching 4 or 5 different activities at the same time. And I would assume also this young array of talent will have its concentration tested a great deal.
Very much so. I think that's a very important element of what's happening here. There's big crowds. There's going to be a lot of noise. 4 events going on at one time, so the guy who can put it together and hold it throughout this competition is going to win.
All right, stars of the future will be made perhaps tonight in the men's all-around competition here as gymnastics gets underway.
145 pounds out of Tucson, Arizona. We begin the floor exercise. Tim Brando along with Bart Connor.
This is probably not Mark's strongest event. He's best known for his work on the pommel horse and the high bar, but he started off with a very nice, clean, tucked double back somersault. Front step out through to a full and to a punch front. Now that full to a punch front is a move that's called a D move. It's the hardest difficulty element that you can do in an exercise. And of course he gets added bonus points for having done that skill.
He'll turn 24 before the festival is done. 87 graduate of Arizona State University.
And Mark's brother Mike, his twin brother, is actually also an outstanding gymnast and has been a national team member as well. He just completed his press to a handstand. So far, the exercise is very clean. He hasn't done any really outstanding difficulty elements or anything really original, but so far it's been very clean and there's really no room for deductions. Here's his last pass, a full to another punch front. Clean exercise.
He began in gymnastics training in 1969, only 6 years old. Mark Bowers with the floor exercise, and he's happy with it, Bart.
It's interesting when you notice what happens here on the dismount. He's going to do a full to a punch front, and you see this tremendous amount of strain on the ankles, right, boom, right there, to turn the rotation back from a back flipping rotation to a forward rotation. It's very hard on your body.
Over to ring, Spider Maxwell out of State College, Pennsylvania, and that powerhouse of Penn State.
Spider is very good on the rings. In fact, this last year, he had a pretty good year on the rings, but at the U.S. Championships, he had a disastrous performance here, scoring only an 8.55, and that really was the performance that kept him out of the top rankings on our national team. So he's one of those guys, like I said, if he is hot tonight, he could walk away with the all-around. A nice full out, very clean dismount. That'll have to score well.
Winner of the Niston Award in 1987 as the nation's top collegiate gymnast, Spider Maxwell. 5'6" tall. Over to pommel horse now in that event. And Chaplin.
Yeah, this is Mike Chaplin. He's from UCLA, and this is an event where you can see he's very, very strong. He has tremendous height. He's pushing down. He doesn't have a very long, fluid swing, but he's very strong in support. He's doing all the difficulty elements. He had a little trouble there on the handstand on the end. It's important when you do go up to a handstand that you don't break the rhythm of the exercise. So far, he's had a few choppy errors, choppy rhythm. It's not going to score that great, but he did have enough difficulty in there. That was an important event for him to get by.
Over back to rings now, and here is Patrick Kirksey. A step. A little meditation here from Kirksey. He's taking his time and thinking about it. There he is, Patrick Kirksey, 19 years of age, out of Tucker, Georgia, University of Nebraska, preparing for action now. Patrick, outstanding young gymnast. In the 1986 Junior Nationals, he was the champion in the all-around. Also won the pole vault, parallel bars, and horizontal bars at the juniors last year. Now, you'll notice that we're skipping around and trying to give you as much gymnastics as possible live as we go from one apparatus to the other, which is in essence what the viewers here in the Dean Smith Activity Center will get during the all-around.
And I think it's important as we follow the all-around competitors that we realize how hectic of a pace it is in here. The judges are looking around the gym. The audience is looking back and forth from one event to another. There isn't complete concentration on any one particular event at each period of time, so that it's very difficult for the gymnasts to realize that, hey, this is my turn. Even though there's 3 other guys out there performing on other apparatus, I have to hold it together and get through the exercise. Nice giant swing. He has a little swing in the rings. It's important that he stop that swing, but a really nice looking full twisting double back dismount.
His 2 younger sisters and 1 older brother, all of whom are competitive swimmers, he chose gymnastics. And so our action will continue from the men's all-around in gymnastics from the Dean Smith.
Recognition. The Americans had fought for synchronized swimming. The Soviets lobbied for this one. Ironically, 3 of the U.S. team members and 2 of the best U.S. coaches are native Soviet citizens who immigrated, bringing their background and love of this sport with them.
First of all, my father decided for me to be in rhythmic. I mean, he said, what do you want to do, rhythmic gymnastics or regular gymnastics? And he said rhythmic first, so... I mean, I said the rhythmic first, so he said, okay. So that's how I started rhythmic in Russia.
I knew about it in Russia. It's a popular sport. Russians, they just have really good technique at this sport. They know how to coach well. They know the right things to do to expand it and make it better. My mom, she used to do rhythmic gymnastics in Russia with Alla Svirsky, a national coach. And she took me to her gym, and she started me off. Alla and Irina and all the Russian coaches really gave us unique new movements and new musics, and they pushed forward. If we had American coaches who knew nothing about rhythmic gymnastics, we'd still be behind 30 years instead of 10.
No question, Soviet Olga Korbut inspired many young girls to take up gymnastics. But this sport also has the Russian touch. For many years, Soviet athletes have been among the best, but its origins, according to Coach Irina, are American.
It started, as a matter of fact, Isadora Duncan, who is an American ballet dancer. She started, you can say she started a beginner level of the sport in Moscow when she had her own ballet school there. and she started exercises with rope and hula hoop, like you may call that, for working women there. And then somehow we developed into more exciting events, into sport.
About competing with European country, very important thing. It's upset me a lot because I feel like American kids so talented, so dedicated. They are so free in their mind, which is, I will put, advantage of this country. Kids can think what they want, what they feel. They can impress what they feel. A lot of Russian students and pupils at schools, they cannot tell teacher what they think about this teacher because they can be just suspended from school. And American kids, they more free with them feeling in their mind. They can express themselves. And I feel when people develop and educated this way, they really can dedicate much more in sport and in movement.
Rhythmic gymnastics, a departure from traditional Olympic sports and a welcome one.
You know that there are 5 women in this year's festival that are associated with the rhythmic gymnastic program that were born in the Soviet Union. 2 of the coaches whom you've just met and 3 competitors, including the first-place female after the preliminaries, Marina Kunyavsky, who is 22 years of age, out of Culver City, California. And you talk to several people of the collegiate level. You look around at the schools, and there is a sneaking suspicion that women's gymnastics becoming so difficult, so athletic, some of the schools switching over and concentrating just a little bit more on rhythmic gymnastics.
It's a lot easier to handle than the more sophisticated or
not for me, it's not.
Well, certainly not for us, obviously. You mentioned the young Soviet woman. Of course, Diane Simpson from the United States is a woman who won the all-around gold medal last year here at the festival, and she did it, believe it or not, working with that hand apparatus and a broken right index finger. So she is one tough competitor, and Diane will be in action as we come back. We're going to take a break and be back with a look at rhythmic gymnastics, a look at all of the apparatus and the excellent young women who work with them. Back with that in just a minute. Stay with us. Back in 1961, it became an Olympic sport last time around in 1984. There are a number of apparatus involved, and each year, each Olympic time, every 4 years, they rotate the apparatus involved. They take one out and bring another one in. So let's take a look at the 4 apparatus involved. Here are Phil Stone and Valerie Zimring.
It is one of the most beautiful and graceful sports in the world. Raleigh Civic Center is sold out, a new Olympic Festival record crowd for today's finals of rhythmic gymnastics. Hi, everybody. I'm Phil Stone. Rhythmic gymnastics is a relatively new sport. First World Championships were not staged until 1963. It was 72 before America joined the international community. And now, 15 years later, America's young ladies have made some big, big strides. Joining me today is a former member of the 1984 Olympic team, a former Olympic Festival gold medalist, Valerie Zimring. And Valerie, this is a big, big competition for a couple of different reasons.
It really is, Phil. Not only is this a prestigious national event, but it also serves as our qualifying for the Pan American Championships and our World Championships that are held in September in Bulgaria.
And that is just one of the reasons why just about everybody who is ranked in rhythmic gymnastics is here in Raleigh. Let's take a look at yesterday's competition.
One of the reasons why Diane Simpson is strongly in second place after the first day of competition is this dramatic hoop routine. Her strengths are in flexibility, and she plans to be a very strong competitor for Marina Kunyavsky today. Currently in third place, Irina Rubinstein had a strong rope routine yesterday. She uses tambourine, which is interesting. She had a very strong finish here. 2 rolls catch and a nice routine from Irina. Marina Kunyavsky outdid everyone with the club event. Highest score of the meet with the 9.75. Michelle Berube is one of the interesting stories here at the Olympic Festival. After 3 years away from competition, she's coming back and looking stronger than ever. This ribbon routine has her tied for first in ribbon right now. Jennifer Lovell is one of our highest placing junior competitors here at the Olympic Festival. Her hoop routine is part of the reason. Very strong routine yesterday, and we're looking for the same again today. Definitely one of the crowd's favorites. Wendy Hilliard moves fast and is very exciting.
Well, for Marina Kunyavsky, she would have to be the odds-on favorite at this point, Valerie, but there's still a lot of gymnastics left.
That's right. Marina had a very strong day yesterday, but Diane Simpson and Irina Rubinstein are right behind her, and they're not going to give it to her that easily.
going for another one in mathematics.
As we head into today's finals, these are the standings. Marina Kunyatski of the East team leads all of the competitors, but not by much. Our defending champion in Olympic Festival competition is in second place, followed by Irina Rubinstein. Eugenia Wan of the West team is in fourth place, tied for fifth. Kelly Tanko of the South team, along with the North, Michelle Berube. Alexandra Feldman of the South team is in seventh place. Wendy Hilliard rounding out the top 8. Our next performer, Irina Rubinstein, representing the East team, and this will be her rope routine. Well, if you're watching rhythmic gymnastics for the first time, it is a sport that involves body movements of varying difficulty while handling a series of small apparatus.
Irina has an interesting choice of music here. She decides to use tambourine. The Bulgarians started that innovation a couple years ago. She had a strong rope routine yesterday. There are those large leaps through the rope. Now that's a 2/10 deduction. She picked it up right away and continued moving.
She enters this competition today in third place behind Kunyavsky and the defending champion, Diane Simpson.
All the movements with the rope must be coordinated with the body movement. The judges look to see that the gymnast movement and the equipment's movement matches her style and the style of the music.
Valerie, are there regulations regarding music or musical accompaniment?
Yes, for the individual event competitors, one instrument is allowed as accompaniment. It can either be live or on tape.
Irina Rubinstein.
And Irina Rubinstein elects the solo accompaniment of the tambourine
for the East team. Now this concludes our first quarter. This means that every athlete has either performed.
Now, she had problems early in the routine, Valerie, with the rope.
Bring them all back.
Yes, she did have a mistake that will cost her about 2/10. She picked it up very quickly.
Alexandra Feldman.
She kept moving right away, so shouldn't be too much of a deduction.
This is Alexandra Feldman.
Right away into a very difficult 3 rolls in a row. She's the only girl in this competition who does that element.
Now living in Sherman Oaks, California, she was born in Lvov, Ukraine, in the Soviet Union.
Series of 2 tosses in a row. That's a superior element. In each routine, the gymnast is required to perform superior and medium difficulty elements. The judges look for that with both the right and the left hand. She's doing very well so far.
Alexandra Feldman representing the South team in yesterday's hoop competition. She had a score of 9.35.
Little dive through the hoop there for the ending.
Alexandra Feldman.
Capacity crowd on hand for today's finals of the rhythmic gymnastic competition.
Now having performed her hoop routine in the first section, we now have the rope routine for the West team's Cindy Mount.
Here she does what's called a side jump with knees bent while doing a large roll across the mat, which is required.
This is Cynthia Mount from Evanston, Illinois. She is on the West team for the competition. 4th all around last year in the junior division. She is still a junior this year.
She'll be a senior next year, so competing against the seniors here is a good opportunity for her to get ready for next year. 3 required leaps through the rope.
Cynthia, being a junior, getting some much needed international competition a year ago in Melbourne, Australia.
The more experience you can get, really, the better off you are. Even if your routines are ready, until you compete them over and over again, you just don't feel that confident. You'll notice with the senior competitors like Marina and Diane, you can see the confidence every time they perform.
14-year-old Cynthia Mount.
Our next competitor up, also from the West, Diane Simpson.
This is Diane Simpson. She is the Olympic Festival defending champion, and when she won it last year in Houston, nobody could believe it.
Well, last year she did have a problem, and everyone thought it was going to be a bigger problem than it obviously was. She had a broken index finger, had a great meet, though, and won the all-around championship.
She's a freshman at Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois. Impressive move with the hoop, bouncing it off the neck.
Yes, the judges look for originality in all the routines, especially in this caliber of competition. You can't just have required moves. You have to be original in order to get the high scores. There's another original move right there, catching the hoop on her neck.
Diane Simpson entering today's finals. A little more than half a point behind our Olympic Festival points leader, Marina Kuniavsky.
Hoop's a very strong event for Diane. It's dramatic, and it really fits well to the hoop event.
Well, it was her strongest competition yesterday during the first day of competition. She recorded a score on the hoop of 9.70.
And a very strong routine again today.
Well done, Diane Simpson. A gold medalist from a year ago at the Olympic Festival in Houston, Texas. Oh, the finals of the rhythmic gymnastic competition continues from Raleigh Civic Center. We'll be back with more a little later this evening.
Palmer, Chuck Girardo in second, and David St. Pierre along with Patrick Kirksey tied for third. Two of the four that we mentioned at the top of our telecast are there. Mark Bowers, along with Stuart Butler, Robert Sundstrom, and Lance Ricknall make up the rest of our leaders after two rotations here. And Bart, right now, this is shaping up as a battle between Palmer and St. Pierre, and we see Neil right now, 22 years of age, out of Lincoln, Nebraska, part of that Cornhusker team, and this is shaping up just the way we thought, and we're only into the third rotation.
Well, Neil had a very good start for the competition. He got a 9.5 on the floor, a 9.5 on the pommel horse, which was a good score for him there. This is a critical event. If he's going to win the all-around tonight, he's going to have to be able to put together a great routine on the still rings, because this is undoubtedly his lowest scoring event. So if he can score well here, he's going to be tough to beat.
The pride of Addison, Illinois, began his gymnastics training back in 1972. Loves the high bar in the floor, but as you mentioned, this is the one where he needs to show well, because you know St. Pierre is right there with him.
And Neil is a very big gymnast. He's tall, he's strong, and actually you find that the gymnasts that are a little shorter and a little stronger for their body weight generally do better on the still ring, so that makes this event tough for Neil.
Palmer's having away. We have a judges conference that is underway, and again, we talk of the distractions here at the all-around. We're trying to focus on all of the different apparatus types. Right now, as we wait for the judge, let's look at David St. Pierre on the vault. Now, St. Pierre, this is one of his better events, and there you see his total.
He scored a 9.35 on this event here, and this is definitely one of his more explosive events. He's going to do a Cuervo in the tuck position. Really nice, clean form in the air, only one step on the landing.
Out of Los Angeles and UCLA, David St. Pierre, and now Neil Palmer underway on the still ring.
Okay, now he kipped up and does a straddle plunge. One of the strength requirements, you have to do 2 strength moves plus a press to a handstand. There's another strength move. An inverted iron cross. He has a nice line, and he's definitely holding a really solid handstand. That's a key in this event. That move is called a double whippet. It's actually in the tuck position. His routine is very clean. He's not doing a lot of difficulty, but as you can tell, he's giving way for very few deductions. Nice giant dislocation, a full out. Okay, it's going to score well.
He finished 18th in the all-around at last month's McDonald's Championship in Kansas City, right at the top of the heap. Now over to Robert Sundstrom on the parallel bars. 5'7", out of San Jose, California. Cal Berkeley, his school.
He mounts with a reverse straddle cut to a handstand. That's a move called a Healy twirl. Very nice element. And 2 in a row. Good combination of skills. He's a little weak and a little loose in the lower back. If he wants to score well here, he has to keep tight in those handstand positions. Straddle cut and press to a handstand. He doesn't look as at ease up there as he does when he's on the floor exercise around the vault. He's getting through just fine. Nice tuck double back this time.
He placed 9th at this year's NCAA championships in the all-around. Won the gold in the floor exercise at 86. Now over to Gerardo at the vault. Here's Chuck Gerardo out of San Diego, California, and Stanford University.
Now there's a laid-out Sukahara. He took a huge hop on the landing. That vault was nice and clean and high, but you got to stick those landings for the big scores.
Now Spider Maxwell preparing at the parallel bars. This is his favorite event. This is the one he enjoys most. He'll graduate this coming December from Penn State with a science degree. As you mentioned, these really ranging from 18 through 30, Bart, in the United States, and some of these participants, much like Spider, have a chance for 88. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, and they would tell you that they're still thinking 88.
Absolutely. Everybody here of this senior group has their eyes set on doing the best they can possibly do in the Olympic trials in 1988 and having a shot at making that team. For some of the younger guys here, the junior members that we'll see in this competition, they're looking ahead to 1989, 90, 91, and certainly the 92 Olympics, which will be in Barcelona.
And you say that right now, as we prepare for 1988, that the Soviets are way ahead of the United States. However, we are right where we should be in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th area around the world in men's gymnastics.
We'll have an interesting opportunity to see how well we do. The World Championships are in the fall in October in Rotterdam. The Soviets are definitely the team to beat. The Chinese, Japanese, and the Americans, I think, are probably about 4th or 5th in the world scale right now.
Spider Maxwell.
Now, there's a move that I used to use in competition. He does a press to a handstand on one rail. Whoa! Stay in there. Oh. That's really unfortunate. He did the press to a handstand. He was a little outside. It's important you're right over the single rail when you do that press. And, of course, he did the Stutz and was outside. He never really was able to regain his balance from being too far outside on that handstand.
Now the job is to come back and forget about it.
Well, he did a Healy twirl there and took an extra swing, so obviously Spider knows that if he was going to be in the running for the all-around tonight, he could not give away those valuable points, which he just did. He's going to have to get tight. There he goes. Okay. Nice job on the dismount with a good tuck double back.
Coached by Randy Jepson and Carl Shire, began gymnastics in 1979. Watch the problems here that he had early on.
Now he does the glide kip and he turns. So far, everything's great. Now he's going to press up, and he's a little leaning outside. It's really important that you tighten your body, but unfortunately, when you're that far out, it's really hard to pull it back in. And, of course, because he swung through crooked, he missed that hand.
Now the rings and Mark Bowers, 23 years of age, out of Tucson, Arizona. 86 NCAA championship team at Arizona State.
There's a shoot to a handstand. He had a little bit problem with bent arms on that. There's a whip it. And another whip it. And a back reprise to an L cross. That's one of his strength requirements, of course. And an iron cross. he's really tall and long. And you find that guys with body styles, long style and long swing, do better on pommel horse and high bar than they do on the rings. He's doing very well here, but he's a little loose, as you can see in the handstand positions. Nice fill out dismount.
Mark Bowers, 22nd in the all-around. And now it's Stuart Butler over on the high bar preparing. 21 years of age, out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and the University of New Mexico. He was the 86 Western Athletic Conference all-around champion while competing for New Mexico. Took 10th in the all-around at last year's Olympic Festival in Houston. Studying computer science, plans to go on to law school after graduation. Stuart Butler. And this is one of the events, too, that you say is a problem for the United States in international competition, Bart.
Actually, nearly all the great countries in the U.S., in the world, are great on the high bar, and the U.S. is actually pretty good there.
Patrick Kirksey now underway on the parallel bars.
Okay, he did a press to a handstand, and there's a move called a Diamondov, invented by Russian gymnast Diamondov. A Healy twirl. Dropped one leg outside. That's going to be a major deduction. Back up rise, reverse stutz. The exercise is slow, rhythmical, but it doesn't have any life. He needs to do a little more daring and a little more aggressive work on the parallel bars.
Out of Tucker, Georgia, and the University of Nebraska.
Nice tough double back dismount, however.
Well, he has to feel better after that dismount, though he had some problems within. Born in DeKalb, Georgia, Patrick Kirksey, a study of meditation earlier. Moments ago, it was Demas on the high bar having some difficulty. Take a look at this.
You can see what happens here. He's doing a ginger, which is a backflip with a half twist and a regrasp. Of course, he missed the regrasp. He actually looked like he was close enough to catch it, but he was a little too low.
Ted Demas will remember that entry, won't he? We'll continue from the gymnastics competition here at the Dean Smith Center a bit later. Stay with us. Here made a move on the parallel bars in the third rotation to move just, well, 5/100ths of a point away from Neil Palmer. Chuck Girardo right now has to be the surprise story, Bart Connor. And there you see Ryan, Bowers, Chaplin, and Kirksey. And Robert Sundstrom had problems on the high bar in the fourth rotation. So he right now is off the leaderboard. But Girardo's really the story right now.
He really is having a terrific meet. He looks more aggressive and more confident than I've ever seen him. He's charging through his routines. On the parallel bars, he was in a little bit of trouble, losing it in a handstand, and he's fighting, and he's showing a lot of really good determination.
Over to the parallel bars now is Mike Farina. Mike is 19th after the first four rotations. A promising young gymnast. Will be a freshman at the University of Minnesota this fall.
Well, Mike, let's do it, buddy.
Competed in his first senior nationals meet just last month in Kansas City.
There's a move called a peach to a straddle cut. Oh, that's a cool move. He missed it a little bit. I don't even know what you call that. I think it's a Straley with a half turn.
I'll take your word for it.
What he needs to do on this event is have more big swinging elements. He needs to get up in that handstand like he is now and swing some nice long movements. He's very choppy and has a very quick swing. I think he needs to be a little more fluid on that.
He's only been in gymnastics for a few years. He only began his freshman and sophomore years in high school. Now, Chuck Girardo, 20 years old, from San Diego, California, on the Stanford team, preparing now for the high bar. Right now, he is in third place, but not far behind St. Pierre and Palmer after four rotations.
This is definitely a critical event for Chuck because at the U.S. Championship just a month ago, he scored only an 8.75 here, so he did have trouble.
His brother Jamie is a gymnast at Penn State. It runs in the family for a lot of these competitors. We've got third-generation athletes here in the sport of gymnastics in many cases, both for the men and the women. We'll notice that throughout the rest of the U.S. Olympic Festival.
Most of these competitions come down to the last couple of events, and it's who can hang on to the high bar on one of these big high-flying release moves.
And we have a judges conference underway. Michael Chaplin was just on the high bar moments ago, and that's the man for whom responsible at the latest discussion. The high bar has been a problem piece of apparatus here so far, Bart Connor.
Well, just about in every gymnastics competition, the level of difficulty that the gymnasts are doing, the high-flying release moves, are very risky elements. Not only are they risky to life and limb sometimes, but to your score as well, because a fall off the high bar, of course, is a half-a-point deduction, and yet you cannot score well unless you do the big moves. So here we go. First of all, he does really nice work in the Stalder position, or straddle giant swings. Okay, now here we go. One-arm giant swing. 2 in a row. Nice sequence. There's a move called a jam to inverted giant swing to Stalder. Okay, now there's the release move. A nice high ginger. Good clean rhythm. Good form. And he speeds up for his dismount. Okay, way out double backflip. Nice exercise, an important one for him to get through.
It can't hurt him at all. Remember, in 3rd place behind Palmer and St. Pierre after 4 rotations, Chuck Girardo, a gold medal winner back at the festival in Baton Rouge in '85.
Next on the tail. You can see here with the hand guards that gymnasts are wearing, that leather strap actually has a dowel rod out at the end so that they can get sort of a hook action so they can hang on to the bar on those inverted giant swings. Here's the dismount, the laid-out double backflip. He lets go, keeps his body stretched. Really nice position in the air. And one short hop on the landing.
Patrick Kirksey now preparing for his floor exercise. Kirksey in 8th place after the first 4 rotations. There you see his total. Out of Decatur, Georgia, representing the East team. He's the man that we saw early on with the meditation process. He closes his eyes and visualizes his performance.
Okay, here we go. Front step out, round up back handspring, nice high full punch front. Now that's the kind of tumbling pass that's very clean and very high. It's not the type of tumbling pass that you'd really like to start your exercise with. Now that's more the stuff. That was a handspring, front 1 3/4 front flip. Nice work on his straddle leap. One good thing about Patrick is he has really nice clean form, and he's really solid on his landings. That's a nice clean double twist. The unfortunate thing about the mount on his exercise is it is a D move, a full to a punch front. But it's probably one of the easiest D moves, and so most of the gymnasts use it. I'd like to see them do more difficult elements at the beginning of his exercise. Elements like the one that he did in his second tumbling run, the 1 3/4 front flip. There's a requirement now. That's a new requirement where the gymnast must do a balance on 1 foot or 1 hand throughout the exercise somewhere. And the last tumbling run, nice tuck double back. That's a good finish. A very strong finish for that exercise.
Making that difficult transition, Patrick Kirksey from the junior team to the national team and the senior team. That's what he has in front of him now, and he's on his way. He's 8th after 4 rotations. Neil Palmer, our leader now, over to the parallel bars, entering his senior year at the University of Nebraska, 22 years old. Horizontal bar All-American in 1985 at the NCAA level. But now it's the parallel bars facing Neil Palmer. He's our leader after 4 rotations.
He has a unique mount here. He's starting on the end of the parallel bars, way out the end. And that's a peach to a straddle cut. Straddle L on 1 rail. Now look at that. Double leg circles on the end to flares. Really nice combination. Swing to a handstand. Now he needs to travel into the center of the parallel bars. Oh, nice Diamondov right on the end of the bars. That Diamondov is a very difficult move, and it's especially difficult when you do it out there on the end. Okay, that was a Healy twirl. It looked like he clipped his heel on that. Might have a minor deduction for hitting the rail just slightly. But he didn't break form, and so far this routine is really nice. There's a nice, clean, full twisting back flip.
As you know, he had some moves that were reminiscent of the pommel horse, only on the parallel bars. Now look at the dismount, Bart.
This is the handstand pirouette right here at the end. You can see he's going to let go of the bars, do a backflip, one full turn, and spot the landing. Not the most difficult dismount being done, but a really nice-looking dismount.
He's a saxophonist, and right now he's tooting a big horn at the gymnastics and men's all-around here in North Carolina, the home of the Tar Heels. Here is David St. Pierre.
This is definitely a very excellent event for David. He has a style that reminds us very much of Peter Vidmar. In fact, he was trained with the same coach that Peter Vidmar had. Here comes the release move. A nice reverse hex. Perfect position as he swung. Excellent giant swings out of it. Now watch this. One-arm giant swings through to a gander. Excellent. He's very aggressive on the high bar. He's probably not as strong as he needs to be. He needs to get a little more developed in the upper body, but when he's on the high bar, he is very aggressive. His style is excellent. There's a laid-out double backflip. Perfect landing. That's going to score big.
We'll only have to wait to find out if, in fact, he is now our leader after 5 rotations. He didn't hurt himself there at all. David St. Pierre, a member of the UCLA National Championship team.
Now here's the one-arm giant swings through to a ginger. He is up there. Look at that, completely out of camera. Probably at that point he's in the air about 14, 15 feet off the ground. And of course then he casts back up into giant swings and an excellent body position on a layout double back. And boy, when you land one like that, let me tell you, that feels good.
And these aren't the flying Walindas. These are the best juniors and perhaps seniors of the future that we're seeing here at the gymnastics competition. Stay with us. Carolina, Tim Brando, along with Bart Connor. Lance Rignall, what a story he is, and right now he's on the high bar.
Lance is a really aggressive performer, especially on this piece of equipment. There's a full over the bar, full twisting pirouette. Nice one-arm giant swings. Okay, here's the release sequence. Reverse hex to a reverse hex, 2 in a row. It's a nice combination. He's back up into giant swings. That was actually an extra giant swing I didn't think he needed in there. There's the inverted giant swings. So far, he has all the necessary requirements. Let's see the dismount. Laid out, full out, and a hop on the landing, but that's a really difficult dismount.
He began flipping when he was only 9 years old. He was in a car accident, and we'll document that a bit later. Robert Sundstrom now on the floor exercise, and he had problems on the high bar. He has to regather himself now, Bart.
You know, oh, what a nice move. That was a triple twist for a mount. Backflip with 3 twists. He just dropped out of the sky on that. Your second tumbling run, handspring, layout, punch front. He is definitely the favorite in the individual event finals for the floor exercise title as well as the vaulting title. He is really an expert tumbler and vaulter. It's unfortunate in the all-around competition, the event just prior to this, he took a 7.6 on a disastrous high bar performance, which took him out of the running in the all-around, but certainly he's doing a heck of a job here on the floor. The exercise so far has been absolutely perfect. Whip back through to double full punch front. Really nice combination, tumbling. He's so comfortable on the floor. He looks like he's unchallenged by the routine, and yet he's doing some of the most difficult elements that you can do in floor exercise. Okay, here's the last run. Tuck double back. Nice. A little over-rotated, but really high in the air.
I'd say he regathered himself, Bart.
Very much so.
Robert Sundstrom with an outstanding score of 9.80 in the floor exercise. And we'll continue with our all-around competition. Stay with us.
We're going to be going back to that in a minute, that there are very few varsity programs across the country. I mean, most people think that there are a lot more. There are only about 68 colleges who have men's varsity programs as compared to 600 women's programs throughout the country. And, of course, most of everything as far as volleyball goes is centered in Southern California.
Helps to be born on the beach, I guess you could say, right?
I say so.
So speaking of the beach, let's go back and pick up our California beach bum, if you will. Kent Steffes.
Along with Chuck Girardo, the upstarts, plus the experienced veterans in 1-2. And the rest of the men's all-around competition continues here at the U.S. Olympic Festival. Patrick Kirksey is in 5th. Mark Bowers, Trent Demas, and Tim Ryan make out the rest of the field that are at the very top here in the men's all-around. 6th and final rotation underway. Tim Brando along with Bart Kiner. And Bart, we talked about it at the top, experience as well as youth, and we've seen both come to the forefront.
And without a doubt, guys like Neil Palmer, who's getting ready to perform on the high bar, he and David St. Pierre are two more experienced performers, and without a doubt, that's why they're in the lead right now, because they're really handling the competition. They're very aggressive, and they're doing all the important elements that you need to score well, and they're not faltering in this competition.
He's done no worse than a 9.20. That was on the vault. But after the magnificent performance that we saw just a few moments ago by David St. Pierre, he just was edged out after 5 rotations, but he certainly has a great shot because of this particular piece of apparatus.
Oh, yeah. Neil is really, really great on the high bar. You'll notice when you see him up there, he has that long swing, and he does some really nice elements, a big release move, and an excellent dismount.
In Kansas City at the McDonald's Championships of the United States, he finished 11th on the high bar. We've already chronicled his past at the University of Nebraska. Here we go.
Okay, there's a backup rise. Back stalder, half turn. Okay, look at that. Front one-arm giant. Back one-arm giant to a gingle. Really nice combination. There's a stoop and a jam right to the top. Really clean work on the inverted giant swings. It's going to come down to whether he sticks this dismount. Speed on the Giants. A full out. That's going to score big time.
That could be a gold medal performance on the high bar. And we have to wait on St. Pierre, but Neil Palmer has to love his chances. Born in Berwyn, Illinois, makes his home in Addison and began gymnastics back in 1972. Neil Palmer, 5'10", 165 pounds, and we saw all of it on the high bar there.
I don't think he could ask for it to be any better. He really, nice and high, perfect form in the air, pointed toes. I mean, it's very difficult when you're twisting and flipping like that to worry about pointing your toes in the air. But you can see here, he's up there. Look at the excellent form as he releases. Perfect, knees together. That's what you call great gymnastics.
Patrick Kirksey now, number 54, in blue, representing the East team out of Tucker, Georgia, on the pommel horse.
He starts with some nice one pommel work, and of course, you know, he reached across doing a very difficult element. Back behind the back travels across the horse. And, of course, when you're off, you are off. Right. That's one thing that's really difficult about the pommel horse. It's very small room for error.
He handled it well. He's loose. As well as just start this thing over again. He was 5th after 5 rotations, obviously. He has some problems in staying in 5th place after that problem there. But he's back on.
Now he loses a half of a point deduction, and he has to get back into the exercise. Continue from the point where he fell off. He's actually very good on the horse. He does some difficult elements. Good form.
This is his favorite event.
Goes to the scissors, single leg work, and a really nice handstand at the end with his legs together. Clean dismount. Okay, he got started on one pommel here doing pommel loops. Now he reaches across to the other pommel. That's a very difficult element. And it looked to me when he put his right hand in, he just missed the pommel a little bit. And, of course, as I mentioned, you have very little room for error on that event.
Chuck Girardo now on the floor, 20 years of age. A veteran of Stanford now, rising junior there, and a veteran of the festival. scheduled to graduate in '89 at Stanford.
Oh, nice mount. That was a tuck double back to a punch front.
He has a chance for a bronze. He's in 4th after 5 rotations.
Beautiful work there on the double leg circles on the floor in the flared position. This has not been one of his strong events, and yet I think he's improved here a great deal. Full punch front, 1 1/4. Good split and a press to a plunge. A plunge in a straddle position. He needs to hold that for 2 counts to get the requirement for the balance and strength. There's a round off. There's his 1-foot balance at the end of the exercise. It's called a scale or an arabesque. Most of the gymnasts use that position at the end of the exercise to catch their breath. For the last tumbling run, which is coming here, round off back handspring, tuck double back. Really nice exercise.
Well, we were concerned after the first 2 or 3 rounds when we saw him atop our leaderboard. We said after a couple of rotations, would it be possible for him to hang in? Well, he's done that.
He has, and he certainly improved a lot on floor exercise. I'm very impressed to see that.
Trent Demas now, just 16 years old, out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, with the Gold Cup gymnastics team there on the high bar.
This guy has a wild routine. Where do you see this? In-bar stalder work. He placed 2nd in the U.S. Championships just a few weeks ago on the high bar. Watch the one-arm work. Beautiful ginger way up and over the bar. Once again, he has that long, lean body that looks so nice on the high bar because he has a beautiful long swing. Look at the tremendous speed in these giant swings. There's a triple. 1, 2, 3. Looks like 3 1/4 on that one. Pulled it over just too far.
His brother Ted also part of the competition.
Look at the height on this triple. This guy is like 16 feet in the air. He makes it easily and unfortunately just pulls it around too far.
Now it's David St. Pierre. He's already seen what Neil Palmer has accomplished. He knows what faces him, the gold medal in the all-around. Now the floor exercise.
He needs a big mount here. Round off back handspring, full in. Okay. A little bit over-rotated, but he hasn't been a very strong tumbler, and it's nice to see that he handled that very difficult element really well. Nice front through to a double twist. There's the 1-foot balance, the scale position. Now he's going to go down, cover a little bit of the side of the mat. Really nice. Beautiful 1.5 twisting dive roll. He has such a nice style. I really like his presentation. He has good form. He's very clean. I really feel that David shows a tremendous amount of potential. He could be an '88 Olympian if he puts it all together, but certainly he's still very young, so he will be a big factor in the U.S. program in '89 and '90 and so on. Here's his last tumbling run, round off back handspring, tuck double back, really clean form, good exercise.
David St. Pierre out of UCLA, a very powerful college program. So David St. Pierre and Neil Palmer are on top. We'll give you the results when we return to North Carolina. Here at the Smith Center on the campus of North Carolina. And our gold medal will be handed out to Neil Palmer, who had an outstanding performance on the high bar. That performance warranting a 9.75 score, pushing him ahead of David St. Pierre, representing the North team in second. Lance Rignall, one of the up-and-comers, gets the bronze, but only barely over Chuck Girardo. Neil Palmer making his way out, 22 years old, out of Lincoln, Nebraska, and the university there, an outstanding job in winning the gold medal. He's from Illinois, but he's playing right now a gold medal tune here for the South team, and the fans here are awfully appreciative. Well, we've talked about Neil Palmer, and we talked about Girardo, but we used them in different veins, Bart Connor. One was a steady player, perhaps one that could be a great gymnast very quickly, and the other perhaps getting ready for 92, and both of them were right there.
And it's really nice to see that Neil Palmer really put together a really solid, consistent performance. He was clean throughout the competition. David St. Pierre, as I mentioned, is a guy who has tremendous potential. I think that he could be a really strong member of our international teams because he has such a good style and he has very good technical execution. It's nice to see that Lance Ringnold squeaked into there in third place because he's only 17 years old and he can do all the big tricks even at that early age.
And you know, he began tumbling when he was 8 years old. He was hit at a 90-degree angle while on a bicycle, hit almost head-on, saw the car coming and said, wait a minute, I think I want to go up a little bit more, flipped over the car, and now is flipped to the bronze medal here at the U.S. Olympic Festival. There is Neil Palmer, the gold medalist, receiving that gold medal here at the U.S. Olympic Festival. Now, we've got the women's gymnastics all around coming up tomorrow, and we anticipate another great crowd then as we've had tonight. We'll break attendance records at the festival by Sunday. For now, for Bart Connor, this is Tim Brando saying so long. Let's go back to Jim and Gail.
Okay, thank you, Tim and Bart. You know, this may not be the cream of the crop as far as men's gymnastics goes in this country, but you never know it. I mean, these are some outstanding, young, up-and-coming gymnasts, and they put on some performance for us this evening. We're
You can't tell the crowd, by the way, these aren't the best, right? They love it.
Outstanding. The gymnastics venue has been just about sold out all week, and in fact, on Sunday afternoon, when the women's individual takes place, they will have the largest single crowd here in the Dean Dome ever to see a gymnastics event in this country. Over 20,000 people will be there, so much appreciated event. We're going to go now to your favorite.
Leading the all-around competition, our defending champion from a year ago, Diane Simpson in second place, and Irina Rubinstein, followed by Eugenia Wan, Michelle Sarubi, and Alexandra Felton. And this is Michelle Berube, a member of the 1984 United States Olympic team. Bill Stone, along with Valerie Zimring. And Valerie, you know an awful lot about this young lady.
We competed very close for an awful long time. She's done a great job coming back after 3 years of not competing. It's not easy. She's got a lot of experience in international competition, and it's showing here. She did a great ribbon routine yesterday, and so far is doing an excellent job here.
What led to Michelle's decision to come back this year?
Well, if it's anything like what I feel, you miss the sport after you leave, and I think maybe her decision to leave was a little premature, and she was in good enough shape that she was able to change her mind. Beautiful double roll with the catch for the end there.
Terrific ribbon routine for Michelle Berube. Representing the North team. Born in Detroit, still lives in Rochester, Michigan.
We're going to see one of the most difficult moves in her routine. Toss. We call that a double roll. Very difficult move. And a perfect catch. She had to reach and got it perfectly.
Casey Van Loon from Wilmette, Illinois. Earlier, while we were away, Casey had some big problems with her ribbon routine.
It happens sometimes, and until you gain the experience, one mistake can lead to a lot of other mistakes in the routine, and unfortunately, that's what happened.
Casey, one of the 6 juniors in competition this week. And while none of the 6 will have a shot at the Pan Am team nor the World Championship team, Valeria, this is just terrific exposure for these young girls.
It is. They don't often get a chance to compete against seniors before they're actually in the senior division. And this is a good opportunity for them. What we're looking for here in the club routine is small and large circles with the club. High toss, as you saw Casey do right there. Gymnast is also required to do asymmetrical tosses where one club is moving in one plane and the other club is moving in another. Here are some milling movements. 3 different types of milling movements are required in the routine.
We move on to the West team. This is Eugenia Juan, San Marino, California.
Eugenia only has 2 years of national experience. She has a very strong dance background, and that's helped her come up so quickly. She had a small error there, but was able to correct it. The judges will look. If the ribbon touches the gymnast's body, it's a 10th each time, so she did get 2 tenths off there.
Valerie Zimring, since you decided to hang it up after the '84 Olympics, I understand you are coaching now in the Los Angeles area, and this is one of your students.
Yes, I assistant coach for my former coach, Alice Svirsky, and it's a good way to stay involved in the sport.
To the casual observer, it may appear that ballet is a very, very integral part of gymnastics.
1 hour of ballet every day before practice.
Oh, my.
Another small problem there, but she got it back right away.
Eugenia Juan entering this final round of the competition in 4th place.
Now from Princeton Junction, New Jersey, this is Crystal Alt.
This toss in the end of her routine, it's called a pullback toss. She holds the end of the ribbon, pulls it back, and catches the stick.
This is Crystal Alt.
A lot of people find clubs to be the most difficult of the events because there are 2 pieces of apparatus rather than just one. Clubs are made of hard plastic or wood, and practicing those difficult double roll movements can be dangerous sometimes.
Crystal also one of the 6 juniors in competition this week. Didn't really get into gymnastics until 3 years ago, and she began as an artistic gymnast. I suppose there was a time when most American young ladies, Valerie, that got into rhythmic gymnastics did begin in the artistic side.
Yes, the sport was far less known then, and that was really how you got involved. You were an artistic gymnast and then switched over, and you were very lucky if there was even coaches available in your city. It's growing a lot now. She had a couple of problems there. 1 2/10 drop. At the end, that was a 1/10 drop. She did pick it up right away.
Representing the East team. Next up,
Our next competitor,
Culver City, California.
she stands on the threshold of her 2nd Olympic Festival gold medal, representing the East team, Marina Kuniavsky. A terrific performance earlier in the day with the clubs, a situation she had problems with yesterday during the first day of competition.
Clubs is her strongest event, and it is her favorite. She had a beautiful routine today. She can just make it through this ribbon routine.
Well, she established a new festival record in the club's routine with a 19.50 earlier in the day. Now the ribbon. She's 22 years of age, originally from Leningrad in the Soviet Union, now makes her home in Culver City.
To constantly keep moving throughout the routine. If it ever stops or lays on the ground, that's 10th deduction for every second that the ribbon stops. Marina keeps hers moving the whole routine.
Now this capacity crowd here at the Raleigh Civic Center enjoying Marina Kuniavsky's ribbon routine, and it is a good one.
Catch, and she should be very happy with this routine.
Oh, that may have nailed down the gold right there. Marina Kunyavsky, she's been competing in gymnastics more than half of her life. And her ribbon routine is superb here today. Rhythmic gymnastics, the finals. We'll be back a little later tonight with more. An Olympic festival has come to a close, and Marina Kunyavsky has taken her second Olympic festival gold medal. Diane Simpson, our defending champion, leaves with the silver. Irina Rubinstein will take home the bronze. It was a tremendous performance by Marina Kunyavsky in the clubs competition, Valerie.
Absolutely. She was one of the few competitors who had 2 strong days with the club event, and it made all the difference.
And now, as you point ahead to the Pan American Games next month, the World Championships, and ultimately the Olympic Games in Seoul, Korea, I suppose this is the strongest United States rhythmic gymnastics team ever, Valerie.
It really is. We have a good chance for some gold medals at next month's Pan American Games, and I'm sure we'll be seeing some of the same girls next year getting ready for Seoul, Korea.
Well, we will certainly see Marina Kunyavsky and Diana Simpson come Pan Am Games next month in Indianapolis, Indiana. A tremendous performance by that young lady right there, Marina Kunyavsky, setting a new Olympic Festival overall record with a score of 77.40. For Valerie Zimmering, I'm Phil Stone. So long from Rhythmic Gymnastics.
The man grinning from ear to ear is the all-around champion here at the U.S. Olympic Festival, Neil Palmer. And he's still grinning right now as we prepare to speak with him, the champion here in the men's all-around. I'm joined by Bart Connor. And Neil, let's talk a little bit about the way you felt after you hit it for 9.75 on the high bar.